Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Barbershop Love Stories, the Cuts and Conversation series with single men. My name is Lena West, and I am the founder and creator of Barbershop Love Stories. And today, my special guest is.
My name is Charlie. You call me Charlie.
Okay, Charlie, that's what's up. So, Charlie, tell me about what it's been like dating in Atlanta thus far.
Yeah, it's been pretty rough. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Okay, don't lie to me. Tell me
Yeah,
the truth.
yeah. No, it's one of those things where you just kind of take one on the chin and you kind of keep moving, I guess. But yeah, no, it's definitely not the easiest, I guess.
Do you think it's Atlanta itself or
No, I
like the
think it's
South?
like that in general. I know a lot of people say that, like in
Hmm.
Atlanta. I've been in like a lot of different states.
Like where? And
Um,
like what?
yeah,
What
so I'm
parts?
originally from Miami.
Uh-huh.
Moved up here, graduated high school up here, and then I traveled a lot being in the military. So I was in the Air Force about 7.5 years.
Okay.
Um, I went ahead and my first duty station was in Shreveport, Louisiana. I was there for about 5 years, and then moved to South Korea for a year,
Mm-hmm.
and moved back to Baltimore, where I was there for about a couple years after that, and I moved back here in 2021.
Okay.
So moved around a little bit.
Okay. Now, were you dating in all of those places or like just a few of them or?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it was nothing, I guess, serious, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was definitely dating around.
Okay. So here in Atlanta, like what have you seen? Mm.
Atlanta is one for me. When I moved back
Mm-hmm.
2021, this was like the first time I was actually able to experience the city as an adult.
Okay. That's
So
fair.
I have a way different experience this time around. Like I'm actually learning the city, moving around.
Mm-hmm.
So like actually starting to like see what Atlanta for what it is for the first time. Um, was I guess it's a different experience this time versus when I was in like high school.
Now, I'm from originally from Kansas, and I remember coming down here visiting back and forth, and they would say, "Oh, it's like 18 to 1." So like
Hmm.
you got a lot of women to choose from,
Hmm.
and it just made me wonder, like, okay, well then why is not everybody married? Like, what's
Yeah.
going on? Well, men, I should say.
Right. Yeah.
So
Um. I don't know. That's a good question. I do think that um being in Atlanta, like, do you feel the I guess the ratio as a male, like walking around and stuff?
yeah.
Not necessarily.
Hmm.
I don't I don't know if we feel like, or in my personal experience, if I felt like a difference from being like in Shreveport or Baltimore. Like I don't know if I feel
So
the
you don't
difference.
think you had an advantage, or you do have an advantage here?
I don't know if I feel that way, but if that's the analytics and stuff, then yeah.
I mean, I had asked that question in the barbershop, and they basically were like, "Yeah, it might be 18 to 1, but 17 of them were crazy." And I'm not saying that like that's truth, but that's just what I heard
Yeah.
at the barbershop.
Right.
That's what they said,
Right.
but I ain't say I don't know nothing about it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Nah. I will say, being in Atlanta, it does. Atlanta is a very like special city in a sense where, um, it's always something to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's always no matter what time of the year, you can find something to get into, concerts, like things to get like social,
Hmm.
uh, and it is somewhere where you can like I guess like kind of figure out like where your group or where you kind of fall into, and it's one of those cities where it is very communal,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a lot of black people.
This is true.
Yeah,
This is true. Do you feel like you date the same type of woman in general? Like,
that's a
do
good
they just
question.
have different names and it's really just the same
That's a good
person?
question.
Mm.
Aesthetically, no,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
um, in that framework of what you're saying, like, am I dating the same person? Sometimes
What are you getting out of that? How's that working for you?
it
Are
ain't
you
working.
winning?
It ain't working really. I mean, it's chilling. Like I guess it is what it is. But
I mean, you shared with me earlier some stuff that had happened to you,
right,
and if you don't mind touching on that, I think the audience would be
So
Intrigued.
yeah, so I guess we could talk about like one of the most recent. So um and this was happening like within the last couple weeks. Um I was on this dating app and
Do
ended
you
up
want to
matching
tell?
BLK the Black app. I don't know if
Oh,
you heard that one.
okay. Okay. No, I've never heard.
Okay, cool.
I,
So
I was on Farmers Only years ago, though. I will
okay,
say that
cool.
didn't work out.
So I was on the app. I matched with somebody,
Hmm.
and
They were black,
yeah, she's black,
hence
and
the name.
right.
Go
But
ahead. I'm sorry.
it's a whole bunch of different people on there. I'm gonna lie to you. But yeah, we met, and when we say like, am I dating the same type of person? This one was different. I don't know how I got here,
Hmm.
but yeah, we on the first date. I took her to this Korean barbecue spot,
Okay.
and we having a good time and stuff. And we started talking about traveling. And as we start talking about traveling, she was like, "Yeah, oh yeah, I can't travel until like 2031." I was like, what do you mean? Like, you just go to the passport, knock it out, you get like a couple months. Like, it don't take that long. She's like, "Oh no, like I had got my passport like taken, but
Hmm.
we'll talk about that later." And later on, find out like next couple I guess days after that, she told me she was like she just did like a 12-year bid and she got out like 3 years ago, and she's doing very
Mm.
well for herself.
Hmm.
But I was like, yeah, this ain't. I've never been in this type of predicament before where like I had to deal with that on that end. So that was like really interesting.
Yeah, and so um, I know that I worked in corrections for years, and
Hmm.
so one of the things I noticed is like the dudes, they'll get out and like they'll have a wife in a minute.
Hmm.
But I can't
Sure
say
will.
that that's the same for a woman. And so share with me a couple of things that you thought about which pushed pause on the whole thing.
Yeah. I don't. So I wanted to at least like, I guess, give that situation like, I guess it's just due before like I've made
Mm.
any like
Of course.
decision and stuff. Because
Yeah.
one thing I wanted to make sure as I was talking to her is like, okay, like what is your lifestyle now? What are the things that you like into? Who are the people
Hmm.
that you surrounding yourself around? And then did you make that transition from where you were before to like what you're doing now? And I feel like she's done that pretty well.
Hmm.
From this the small time that I've known her, but it was more so like when you start thinking about like how deep that goes, of like she started telling me about her family and her brother getting killed and the other
Ooh.
brother in jail, and then her dad doing time for killing the cop and all these. It was like, okay, like I don't know if I
It's a
wanna.
lot.
This
It
is
sounds generational almost.
yeah, like even though
Hmm.
like in the sense of like I see what you're doing now and I see
Hmm.
like I feel like since I know this information and this is like right now, do I really want to kind of like pursue that on a high level? And then she also does like trucking, so
Hmm.
like you never gonna be home. So yeah, I was like, yeah, I don't think this is gonna be a match. So I kind of let
Th-
that.
that's funny because
uh,
that's actually one of the careers that's on my non-date. So first of all, no preachers, pastors, youth ministers, uh, janitors who work at the church, um, and then truck drivers and athletes. We don't do all them. We don't do that. Sometimes I go back and forth with the military, but yeah.
yeah,
So,
yeah, it is
but
what it
truck
is. But
drivers,
yeah, it's just it's hard to I guess develop. It's one thing that I met you before you was doing it, and
yeah.
then you just kind of moved into it. But yeah, if I don't know you like that yet, like that's a hard career to kind of, because that's I guess getting into my own personal stuff too. I'm going through career change myself as
Oh,
well,
okay.
and I was working for the last couple years at a bowling alley, and I was one of the operations managers. So what I didn't know about the bowling alley
Do
is
tell.
the hours are crazy.
Mhm.
And while bowling alley is open to 2 a.m. in the morning, I have no idea. But and I know it's really just money, but it really was a lifestyle that like I really couldn't plan anything around.
Mm,
I
yeah.
I couldn't go to the doctor on purpose, or I
Mm.
couldn't plan for I want to go see a movie, or I just want to do this or that, or whatever the case may be. So, um, just due to the hours, due to um, just the lifestyle of it and stuff, it was like really draining.
Yeah, I don't
So,
know how you could date if you work there, you
right,
know?
it was
So,
extremely hard. So, yeah, because it's like, when do I have time to talk to somebody?
mhm.
On my way to work, it's like 4 to 5 o'clock or something like that in the afternoon. You probably like still at work or whatever the case may be. Like we probably can't really talk like that. And
Mhm.
then after work, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, you probably sleep. So it was really hard to. So in that regards, um, talking about like the trucking, like that's even worse.
Yeah.
So I decided to kind of refigure it out, and I'm back in school right now just to kind of figure out a more stable lifestyle for
Mhm.
for myself.
That sounds fair. That sounds fair. I had asked a friend of mine what he saw in me that like I could change to maybe be open to something.
Hmm.
And he was like, Lena, you're always doing something. Like you're always like on the move, on the go. And I thought about it and I was like, you know what? He's right. Like I would have my days packed, like
Hmm.
super packed. And so if there was a tiny little space where I wasn't doing nothing, I was just too tired or drained
Yep.
to be on the phone trying to get to know someone.
Yep.
So, yeah, you have to really look at it logically and say, okay, is this realistic
Right.
for me to invite somebody in? But do you feel like you're hopeful of someone in this season, or do you want to focus on your studies and then maybe revisit them?
Yeah. So when we talk about like I guess past partners, I don't have that many official.
Mm-hmm.
I only been in like two like real relationships, and a lot of that was because I wanted to focus and
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to build and want to make sure I had things in line in place. But what I realized is by me foregoing that and just like kicking that down the road, I kind of put myself at a disadvantage at this point because like those regular, I guess, muscles that you're not able to um uh like put in motion when you're in a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
you don't get a chance to like practice those things. So um
I
even
never thought of that.
yeah, like
But
you
yeah.
never know, like hypothetically speaking, let's say you're a coach, or you like, oh yeah, I think I could coach in the game or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. And you're just looking at I would have did this, I would have did this strategy. The coach messed up here, should have called a timeout here. Like your armchair, like same. But until you're in the game yourself,
Mm,
it's hard to actually know like what you would have did
yeah.
when you got motions involved, when
Mm-hmm.
you got stakes involved, when you got things invested into
Mm-hmm.
it, and you're actually going through it as well. Like now you got your own blindness that you don't see,
Yeah.
and now are you as clear minded as you would if you would just hypothetically think about the situation? So I don't think you'll ever be ready,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
to really explore like relationships that way. I just
Mm-hmm.
think that like once you get in it, just do your best to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then from there you just make adjustments and changes and stuff as you're going. Like if I were to do it again, I probably would have at least been in a couple more of them.
That makes sense because as a barber, that's like me saying, well, I read the barber handbook
Yep.
and then I go up to a barber shop and I'm like, hey, hire me.
Right.
Like I'm ready now.
Yep.
That makes no sense whatsoever. So now I did listen to a really good podcast. It I can't remember who it was. But they were basically saying that multiple dating creates doesn't create the skills that you need for a relationship. Do you agree with that or you don't?
Multiple dating in what type of context?
Just like you're just going out on dates. Like it doesn't
Mm.
present like what a real relationship would be like.
I can
You agree
see
with
where they're
that?
going with that.
Mm.
Because like throughout the time, I always like I had dates here and there, and I might be talking to somebody from here and there. So it's not like I'm not talking to anybody. Like that definitely
Mhm.
wasn't the case. But
Oh,
And
it was Maggie, the substitute teacher. It was a
Maddie,
cook.
substitute teacher.
Yes. That was a
Might have to check that out. I think they're
mhm.
right in that aspect because it's like a different level of like responsibility and
Mhm.
obligations that comes with it versus like dating. Like you're just talking to somebody here and there. Like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, I don't like where this going. I could just fade out to the background.
Yeah. I kind of feel like sometimes dating is like the highlight reels of Instagram, and
Mm,
then relationships are a little bit like more mundane, whereas it may be like comparable to watching a series on Netflix,
yeah, I
you
can see
know?
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you, when you were younger,
Mm.
was it your aspiration to get married, or are you just here for long term relationships, or are you just okay with just dating forever and
Yeah, no,
ever?
I would definitely say like marriage always been like a goal.
Mm-hmm.
It may not always been like the goal, but always been like if I were to like put myself in the shoes of 19-year-old version of me, I probably would have thought I would have been married with kids already. So
Mm-hmm. Do you date for marriage, or do you date for dating's sake and then you're like, well, if it leads there, then okay. Or
I
is
do
it your
have
intent?
intentions with dating for marriage, but
Mhm.
I don't put it as a like I guess a expectation. Like I kind of like
Like an end goal? Or what do you mean?
yeah, sure, it can be an end goal, but where I'm at, what I've learned is when you have like when you put stakes on people that may not
Mm.
fit that, then it kind of puts people in like um an unfair light or unfair perspective of what you think they should be,
Mm-hmm.
where you're just trying to figure out who they are, and
Yeah.
then do you want to rock with that or not?
Mm-hmm.
So like, when I'm dating, like one thing like I don't do anymore is ask like, oh, what are you looking for in a guy, or like, um, I don't want them to ask me that either, for the sake of like, okay, now that you told me that, or now that I told you that, I just gave you permission of like I'm telling you all of the things that like I would want, so you can just follow it, even if that's not who you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I kind of like let things kind of play out how they want to, and I know internally what I want. Now I know internally like what are things that I'm looking for,
Mm-hmm.
and then like, are you the person that fulfills what I'm
Yeah. If it
looking
lines
for?
up,
And
then it
if it
lines
lines
up.
up, then we can move on and we
Yeah.
can kind of like, all right, cool, let's take this to the next
Mm-hmm.
step. But it's not like, I'm sitting here like first day, like, yeah, like this is what I'm thinking. Next
Mm-hmm.
3 years, I need to be married. It's not necessarily like that,
Mm-hmm.
but it is a goal. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
I think, and I don't know if this is wrong or right, but I think like church conditioning, um, especially in my case, like the goal was always marriage. And
Mm,
so like I would entertain people. Well, I guess sometimes I would entertain people, but sometimes it would be like I could see them in this marriage thing. But what that does is it takes away the fun of enjoying
yeah,
who they are for right now.
right,
And then like then I just get upset cuz you didn't fit what
right,
I thought you should fit.
right,
But
and
they didn't have any clue that they were on stage,
exactly.
trying to fulfill something that, you know,
Exactly, because
so.
what I've like, especially when you meet in so many different people,
Mhm.
um, they might not be there for marriage, but they might be there for a particular reason to teach you something,
Exactly.
to show you something that like, oh, okay, like I definitely want this characteristic
Mhm.
in whoever this person that I'm going to marry, or I probably should have did this better than this. Like, it's not necessarily always about like, oh, we didn't get married, or so the relationship failed. It's just
Mhm.
like, oh, okay, like it just didn't get to that level, but
Right.
um,
Yeah.
still great people.
Mhm.
I look forward to see you do great things and stuff like that. And yeah, it wasn't a necessary fail, but um, now it's not like this person has to put on a show for me to,
Mhm.
I guess, get to that next level or something.
I had a crush on a guy a few years back, and like I just knew this was it. Boy, this was it, cuz we was like so similar, and we could like read each other's minds almost and have fun together and stuff, and it just that wasn't the case. Like
Mm,
he wasn't for that position of a husband for me. And I look back now and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like God, I see what you did there cuz woo, we wouldn't have we wouldn't have made it.
Hmm.
But we are the best of friends, the best of friends. And I shot my shot, and he was like, "Ah, you remind me of my sister." I was like, "Oh." But it's all good. It's all good. Got a really great friend out of it. Do you feel like men and women can be friends?
Absolutely, yeah, sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a hot topic. A lot of people don't believe
Now,
that.
I think I guess the caveat, because I've seen these conversations too, is like, yeah, call him and see
Hmm.
if you present an opportunity for y'all to sleep with each other, then he ain't your real friend. I don't think that's not necessarily the case. Like
Hmm.
the way, like, I guess most men are wired, like we'll take like almost any opportunity. Not saying that we will act upon it,
Yeah.
but like that is something always in like back of heads a lot of the times.
Hmm.
But I don't think that's like indicative of that's the only reason why like I'm developing a friendship with you though.
Yeah.
Cause like I have of course the like dynamics of the friendship change, but I definitely got like a really close friend. I don't talk to her as much anymore because now she's married,
Hmm.
but just out of respect of
Of
their
course. Of
relationship.
course.
But yeah, that's my homie though. Like,
Right.
yeah, like
Survivor.
she used to cook and stuff like that. I come over, we used to eat, and yeah, that was my dog right there. So
Definitely hear you on that. I asked a friend of mine, would he? I think it was like 5 years ago. He said no. I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. But he was like, nah, I wouldn't do
sometimes
that.
it's like that too, though.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
and that's fair. That's fair. What would you tell like your younger self? Because I mean, your younger self believed that you were going to be married at this point. So, what would you tell your younger self about your journey thus far?
Uh, like you'll never be ready for anything. So just get in the game and see what happens. Like even like now in different aspects, like
Mm-hmm.
it's still the same thing where it's like, oh, like you want to start your own, business, or you want to content create, or you want to do this and that, or whatever. You want to try new things. Like you don't have to be um like the best in order to get started. Like you just got to start.
Just start. I
Hmm.
love that. On that note, thank you so very
Yeah, it was
much
it was it was
for
nice being
coming.
here. Yeah, this was dope.
Awesome. Awesome. I hope the audience enjoyed it too. And once again, subscribe, share, like, leave something in the comments, y'all, because we need those comments. We need to know what you're thinking and what you want to talk about. So, once again, thank you for sitting through another episode of Barbershop Love Stories.